Do you think powerful people are ever truly held accountable by the law? Are the cries of victims so faint that they get drowned out by immunity deals and presidential pardons? This story isn't just about Ghislaine Maxwell. It's about the hundreds of girls who have waited silently for justice.
Well, a couple thoughts. One is if Maxwell probably had the chance to name names before she was convicted. So,
Peace and greetings, viewers. Today's video covers a case so disturbing and far-reaching that it has shaken the foundations of justice systems around the world. Yes, we are talking about Jeffrey Epstein and his longtime close associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. Recently, Ghislaine Maxwell sat down for a hours-long meeting with senior officials from the U.S. Department of Justice. According to her lawyer, she answered every single question presented to her. No topic was off limits. No privilege was invoked. She spoke openly and without hesitation. But this immediately raises a deeper, more uncomfortable question. Is she finally telling the truth? Or is this simply the latest move in a carefully calculated strategy? Another political negotiation disguised as cooperation. Veteran investigative journalist Holly Baltzan, who has been following this case for decades, weighed in on this sudden shift in Maxwell's approach. She said, if Ghislaine had something to say, she could have said it before her conviction. That might have earned her some form of immunity. The fact that she's speaking now, the question isn't whether she's talking. The question is she telling the truth? And she's absolutely right. If Maxwell had truly wanted to help the victims, if her conscience was guiding her, she had ample time to speak before the trial, before the sentence, before the spotlight. Now, her willingness to cooperate feels less like redemption and more like desperation. Another critical point raised by Baltzan, one that many may not know, is that in 2008, 4 women were named in Jeffrey Epstein's non-prosecution agreement. These women were identified as co-conspirators, and they were granted complete immunity. They are still out there. And according to Baltzan and other sources, these women weren't bystanders. They were involved in organizing, scheduling, and managing the very crimes that destroyed so many young lives. They would have seen who was involved. They would know the names, and yet they remained silent. Another haunting reminder of how far-reaching this cover-up may go. And now we bring you the voices that matter the most, the victims. One survivor, acting to the news of Maxwell's full cooperation with the DOJ, said, "I've never met a more predatory, terrifying human being in my entire life. Ghislaine Maxwell is not a victim. She is a predator. There are hundreds of us girls, like Virginia, Annie, Anuska, and Shante. She hunted us. She destroyed us. Don't let her pretend she's innocent now." And then comes the most disturbing possibility of all. Could the President of the United States intervene and pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? Yes, legally, a presidential pardon or commutation is absolutely possible. And if that were to happen, it would not just be a blow to the victims, it would be a gut punch. It's the very idea of justice. Because these women, these survivors, have already been silenced, doubted, and shamed for decades. Let's not forget, in the original 2008 case, 2 of Epstein's victims were referred to as prostitutes by the prosecutor in front of a grand jury, not victims. Not survivors, prostitutes, that language and the attitude behind it stayed with these women for years. They were shunned, ignored, and pushed aside. Jeffrey Epstein was granted privileges even while serving his sentence. He left jail for hours every day on work release. He continued to operate within high society. He was never truly held accountable. And now, Ghislaine Maxwell, the only person ever convicted in connection to Epstein's crimes, may be on the verge of cutting a deal. This is the system we're dealing with. One where money, power, and political ties seem to weigh more than truth, pain, or even law. So now the question we must all ask, will the truth ever truly come out? Or will the powerful always hide behind the system? Ghislaine Maxwell is granted leniency, if her sentence is reduced or erased, it won't just be a failure of the courts, it will be a betrayal of every single survivor who came forward, showed their scars, and trusted the justice system to protect them. If you believe that the truth matters, if you stand with the survivors, then like this video, share it, and comment below your thoughts. Let's make sure this conversation doesn't die in silence. Let's speak. Where the system stayed quiet.
Ghislaine answered every single question asked of her over the last day and a half. She answered those questions honestly, truthfully, to the best of her ability. She never invoked a privilege. She never refused to answer a question. They asked about every possible thing you can have.
After her hours-long meeting with the U.S. Department of Justice, Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney made a statement that has added a new and unexpected twist to an already explosive case. He said Ghislaine answered every single question. She didn't hide anything. She didn't invoke any legal protections. She spoke openly on every topic. At first glance, that sounds like a bold and powerful claim. A woman who remained silent for years, suddenly willing to talk about everything. But that's exactly what makes this statement so difficult to take at face value. Why now? Is this a moment of truth? Or just another attempt to cut a deal and reduce her sentence? Let's ask the obvious questions. If Ghislaine Maxwell has truly shared everything she knows, if she's finally exposing the truth, will we now see real action taken against the powerful names that have long been whispered in this case? Or is this just another chapter in a long-running pattern? One where powerful people continue to slip through the cracks of the justice system. Her lawyer insists she's cooperating fully, but for the victims, many of whom have waited decades to be heard, the issue isn't simply what Maxwell is saying. The real question is she telling the truth? Because these survivors have heard enough lies, they've seen enough cover-ups. They've lived in a system that protected predators and punished victims. So now, when someone like Ghislaine Maxwell claims to speak openly, that claim alone isn't enough. It must be backed by action, by accountability, by justice, and justice doesn't come from words. It comes from truth and consequences. So we ask you, the viewers, do you believe this sudden cooperation is genuine? Do you think the powerful names will finally face justice? Or is this yet another carefully staged performance? If you want the truth to come out, if you stand with the victims, then like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel. This story is far from over, and the fight for justice is still being fought in courtrooms, in documents, and in the voices of those who refuse to stay silent. And remember, silence doesn't protect the innocent. It only empowers the guilty.